Everybody, welcome to our podcast. Bobby Castro, a father, a husband, super successful entrepreneur, and just a great man and all. Bobby, welcome. How you doing,
Thank you,
buddy?
Chris. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. So, you know, uh, I've followed you for a few years now, and the first time that I got my eyes on what you were doing was, I want to say maybe it was a 10x or something, and I was just scanning through different YouTube things, or maybe it was Grant. I don't know what it was, and I just heard your ego is not your amigo, and I was like, phew. And then you started telling a story of kind of who you were, and a little bit about your background and stuff. And I went to my wife and I said, we got to listen to this guy. Like, this is like a better version of me. More experience,
Thank you.
obviously. Now you're older and all that stuff, but I was like, and because I think, like, we can only relate to, well, we can relate to all kinds of people, but we tend to gravitate to people that are like-minded or live a similar lifestyle or something like that. Would you agree?
Yep, 1000%. And more so, what I think we gravitate to are individuals, at least this is how I see it, and how it would help me was to gravitate to individuals that had this extreme discipline and focus, which is so hard to have. I mean, we can have it for a split second, but then we lose it and we can never get it back. And then when we do get it back, we lose it again. And that's always been my battle for a number of years until I grabbed hold of it and hung on to it. And I learned that from just gravitating to others that really did the hard, because it's to do the opposite is super easy, as we know.
Yeah, yeah. So listen, I know, like, I was doing some research, and I believe you were born, and were you born in New York, or is that wrong or right?
Yeah, no, I was born in the New York Bronx and came to Miami as a peewee.
Yeah. And so you grew up in Miami, running around, causing a ruckus. Um,
Yeah.
can we just go through the back again? Because I know you have a brother. Do you have other siblings besides your brother?
Yes, well, my dad, he had 14 children
Oh, wow.
with different ladies, Chris. And the last uh, awesome individual was my mom, and she had three of us. It was Eric, I, and Kevin. Kevin is 5 years younger than me. Eric and I are 18 months apart. Eric and I are extremely close because of our age is extremely close, and we're close today. We've been pretty much inseparable since we were practically born. So we were born in the Bronx, came to Miami as peewees. And like any other family, a loving family, a lot of passion, which is another word for chaos. And you can imagine with all those kids, very passionate. My dad, he was raised in New York from Puerto Rico. Before that, his family was in Spain. My mother's Jewish and Irish, a lot of personalities. We grew up like a lot of family members around the country with a lot of poverty, a lot of love, a lot of struggle. And my family, including me, we were very good on that struggle. We knew it really well. It was so comfortable to us that it didn't bother us. Until later on, it started bothering me that we were not bothered with that struggle, growing up with no electricity, fleas, roaches. My mother was a waitress all her life. She slept on the couch. My mom and dad they didn't get along at all. One lived in one room, the other lived in the other room, and we're just on government assistance, food stamps, just like a lot of family members. I just chose to break loose from that pattern. It just bothered me as I was getting older. It just didn't feel right. I wanted something different, and then I just got on a mission. And ninth grade back then, Chris, it wasn't high school; it was junior high. I told my mom I wanted to leave school, and dude, before I finished the sentence, my mother, Kathy, she said, "Go for it, Bobby." She supported it, and from there, I was on a mission. Went through a lot of ups and downs because there was no mentor. There was really no other person to really duplicate or guide me. I was just winging it and making awful mistakes doing it and constantly repeating these mistakes until one time I got exhausted. I must have been around 21 years old. I was just exhausted. And I was on a real extreme mission to be really rich. I only wanted a symbol. I wanted the watches. I wanted the cars. I wanted the cell phone. I wanted all the status that I distinguished. That is what the American dream is. And it's not. It actually got me in more trouble than good. It was a total lie to me. And I was lying to myself, and I figured it all out. And then when I got serious about it, I disconnected from everybody, including the zip code. Me and my wife, we were very young. We went to a whole different zip code, and our life took off in beautiful ways. Not to say the reason it didn't take off was because of family members or friends. That's not the case. It was simply because I was very distracted with the current environment I was stuck in.
So, Bobby, going back real quick, ninth grade, your mom says you could quit school. Did she give you some alternatives? Hey, quit school, get a job, quit school, go do this, stay out of trouble? Or she's just like, I get it, you're messing up, it's not for you, just figure something out?
No, she didn't put any terms, any rules in place. She clearly seen something I didn't see, and she just simply said, go for it. And from there, I got my first job at Pasquale's. It was an Italian restaurant. It was on Red Road, 57th Avenue. And I was a busboy there, a takeout person. And from there, my journey started. And then I started learning without understanding I was learning people skills, because in the hospitality work, you had to deal with personalities and people. You had to serve. And in order to provide a good experience and good service, you get rewarded with what's called a tip. And I see my mom growing up doing that. And that's where I started, was just at Pasquale's, and one thing led to another. I was on this mission to really get that watch, get that car. And again, that was success to me, because that's what I seen. And I wasted a lot of time there, Chris. I wish there was another Bobby. My dad was not vocal whatsoever. He was as lost in the world as many. There was nobody to say, Bobby, stop wasting your time there. That's not what you want. Move here. I didn't have any of that. I have older brothers and sisters, love them to death. No one ever took the time to guide me, shake me by the shoulders and say, go this way.
Do you think though, so I mean, I have a similar story, right? I graduated 8th grade, but I got kicked out of school, right, young. And for me, some people around try to, at least there was no business people around because everyone was poor, but they tried to tell me, hey, quit messing around. But I wasn't ready to listen, right? So in your case, do you really think that you would have listened if there was another Bobby? Because there's a lot of youngsters out there that are going through stuff, or even older people that are going through stuff, and they're not quite listening, right? And so you're saying is, hey, if someone was there to smack me around, because obviously, like you said, your dad was there living different lifestyles, parents, and you think everything would have played out, or just at least have been an easier young adulthood?
I would have gotten there a lot easier, more effective, a lot more efficient if I had an individual, a mentor there that had the know-how. I would have listened to him. We were all ready for that. We want that so much. But the only way you're going to receive it, number one, is to truly be ready. And number two, to be exposed to that individual or individuals. I was somewhat ready, but I didn't have the exposure. I see so many people out there, Chris, so do you. They're ready, and they have the exposure of a network, and they still fail. And the reason they fail at any execution is that they just built up this pattern, this routine that leads to habits that just can't unwind. And that's where this ego comes in. There's different forms of ego as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people think an ego means you got to be a jerk or a macho camacho. That's one form of ego. There's thousands of forms of ego, and they're called stubbornness. So I truly believe if I had that individual there, it would have helped me greatly, 1,000%.
Yeah. So what you're saying, it makes total sense, because there's a ton of young adults, and what's crazy is I noticed that even the older adults have gotten lazy. The ones that were born, in the 60s, 50s, they're getting lazier because of the times.
Yeah.
And the hunger is gone, right? And so there's more opportunity today to learn and grow, but yet people don't take advantage of it, like you said, And for myself too, it's once I started getting some skill sets and learning from people, and people were taking to me and say, hey, do it this way or do it this way. It happened in construction mostly. And I started gravitating to it. And then once I was like, man, they have that, or they can get this. I just got to work.
Yep.
Instead of working 8 hours, if I work 10 hours a day, I get that much more. Oh, if I work a Saturday, I get that much more. Then if I take my money and save it and use it here, I get that much more. You know, that's those kind of your principles you teach on, you know. So you got in, you get in, you start working, and you start your business, the Bankers Healthcare Group, right? How did you get into Bankers Healthcare Group? Like, explain that to some people that don't know what that is and how you got into that.
It's kind of crazy. And, you know, it's incredible preparation and opportunity. When they both meet, magic happens. Yeah. So I had and I talk a lot about it in my book called Upsiders. And there's a book that I wrote. You can find it on upsiders.com/book or go on Amazon. I had a bona fide 100% addiction to the classified ad. No different of being hooked on drugs or alcohol. No different. It was very bad. And I talk a lot about that in the book. My addiction was classifieds. I was so addicted to any header that said, make $10,000 this month, become a millionaire, whatever the tagline was, I would instantly send away for that package. And back then there was no internet, Chris. At my home, there was literally hundreds of these business opportunity packages that would come. And I would just comb through these classified ads where my hands were just black. I did nothing with these classified ads. It was just stimulation for nothing, never executed on. It was just that type of thing. Yeah. To the point where I meet my wife, Sophie, and she was young. This before we've been together now 33 years. She's seen this addiction in me. She goes, man, what does it do with you and these classified ads? I mean, what does all this mean? What do you send away these packages? Why don't you do something with Bobby? My thing was, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to buy the $500 or whatever the package was. Half of the packages were maybe a scam. Half of them maybe were not a scam. Why don't you ever do anything? Well, I don't have money. I don't have money. That was my excuse, like my family, don't have money, don't have money, don't have money. Fast forward, I got off the crack, meaning I got off of the classified ads. This goes through a lot of battles in my life, and I go heavily in my book. Long story short, I wind up starting over. There was a moment, again, where Bobby was slacking. I was living with my in-laws, Dixie and Pedro, in Hialeah, a Latino community, at their house. I had no car, no job. Again, classifieds. At that time, it was a little different because I had a daughter. Me and Sophie got pregnant. One day, I am at their house living. On a weekday, I walk out in the afternoon. A black Mustang pulls up, and it was my beautiful wife. The black Mustang was not my car. It was a car that her parents bought for us, beat up, that barely drove. The reverse gas fumes, when you're driving these cars, you can't even breathe because the fumes are so heavy. My wife pulls up in Miami, hot, beautiful face, smiling, so happy to see me. My baby girl behind my wife, same thing, Priscilla, pink, so happy to see daddy. They're both smiling at me. I felt like the biggest loser in my life. That day forever changed my life. That day, I decided enough of the Donkey Kong, blah, 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 blaming it on my family, blaming it on there's no money, there's no opportunities, poor me. I stopped it. I actually went and I got a job at the Rusty Pelican as a waiter at Key Biscayne. And I also got a day job at the Better Business Bureau selling memberships to business owners. I said, no more. I am going to start at the stage where I'm at to pay my friggin' bills, to live up to the responsibility, be a father to this daughter, be a husband to this lady, and start right there. Stop this flash dance. And I talk about flash dance in my book. That day, again, forever changed my life. 6 months later, give or take, I'm just estimating it, I reverted. I went back and I hit a classified ad. It's almost like hitting a pipe if you're on crack. I hit a classified ad. The package comes into my in-laws. Guess what? At the Better Business Bureau, they give me a lead to call on. And it's the same company who sent me the package that I sent on the classified ad.
Oh, nice.
Now, that's like not even a fair fight. I had to hit it. I put my best sales hat on the phone. I got the sales appointment. The dude tells me, Bobby, I hate this membership. The only reason I want you to come down, you sounded good on the phone. I'll buy this membership under one condition. You come work for me. I said yes. I just said yes. That was equipment, leasing, and finance. I got into this space. A year later, he got out of the business. He was 80-something years old. He gave me his Rolodex. He goes, here, Bobby, you can do whatever you want in this business. That business had to cost me $1,700. I didn't have $1,700, Chris. My in-laws, my mother-in-law from her bra, back then the Latino ladies had the beeper, 100 keys for 100 doors, and all the cash of the family. She goes, Mira. She tells me and she gives me here, $1,700, give or take, I needed. That $1,700 took me and my wife to $1 billion we sold the company for. That's $1,700. True story. And it only happened when I started at the stage where I was at. And what I want to talk about, where you're at, anybody who's listening, you're at a stage, and it's totally cool. What you want to do is what Bobby did. Win at the stage where you're at. Dominate the situation at hand. Put out your fires, confront your issues, provide solution to those issues. When you think you have accomplished the stage where you're at, make sure you look back and you've got every little crumb, every seed off this apple before you pivot. I realize these stages are endless in life. The amount of growth that we can consume is unbelievable. Now, I really want to quickly just jump to something that's important.
Let's do it.
There's parents, you, I are parents, there's many parents, even though we know, don't do what I did, Bobby, do everything opposite. Don't live life like a job. Us parents, including my father, Bobby, go get a job at UPS. My father-in-law, Pedro, go get a job. Forget about this business. Forget about being financially free. Go get a job. They're telling me to do what they did, and they're freaking broke and struggling. They know not to tell me that, but they can't help it because it's a form of habit that has been built over years. And us parents, there's parents out there right now, Chris, telling their kids to do exactly what I did. And you're seeing me struggle and financially broke. Instead of telling these kids, do everything opposite, take risk, think outside of the box, learn about money, forget about this 9 to 5. Yeah, in the beginning, you're gonna need a 9 to 5 to bridge you, but there's more to life. Us parents are telling our kids to duplicate what was taught to us, and they know not to tell that to the kids, but they're telling that to their own kids because it's form of a habit. So I am so thankful that I listened to my mother and I did not listen to my father. If I listened to my father, I wouldn't be here today. I love my father. He passed at 94 years old. My mother was the one, go for it, do everything friggin' opposite than me and your father did. Whatever we did was wrong, do not listen to us. That was my mom.
That's crazy. So I love the story. I mean, when at the stage you're at, there's so many people. I meet a lot of young adults, young business entrepreneurs, especially at church. They all kind of gravitate to me, and they all want to have like 5 different businesses, and they're trying this business and that business, and it's the same thing I try to tell them is, listen, focus on one thing, get good at it. Once it starts paying you back, then think about making a change. But once you've dominated the industry, if you ain't dominating, you're not, you got to be dominating at some point, some level, right? Like you said, there's stages, there's levels, so when at the stage you're at is huge advice to anyone watching, because I think that takes us out of the game that quick, because you think you've won and you just started the game. It's like I don't play video games, but yeah, you just started the game and all of a sudden you're a winner. It's like you crown yourself the winner, but you ain't fought nobody or whatever. Yeah. So it's like go through the battles.
I knew, Chris, the odds were against me. I have something I call disciplined disappointments. I expected disappointments over and over. I knew the odds were massively against me. When you're up for that battle, you're up to really fight forward. Think about it. Most people quit and they get so disappointed. I was expecting these disappointments. I knew this was going to be just the odds were extremely against me. And if you have that mindset, you understand you can discipline yourself against all these disappointments. It's not coming up. It's not coming fast enough. I don't feel like the needle's moving. I feel like I'm falling behind. Everyone else having a good time. I'm not having a good time. Oh my God, they're in real estate. And you have this, you're all distracted because you become desperate because there's cousins that are related. Urgency and desperate, they behave differently. Desperate gets yourself in trouble. Urgency with clarity moves the needle drastically in one's life in a positive way. These things I learned over time. And when you start building this habit, guess what, man? It provides you this new mindset that are completely night and day how my family is. Right now, I love my family. I don't interact a lot with my family. Only my kids, my grandchildren, my wife, and my kids' spouses, and maybe my brother few. Family's very tough. Families, I came out with a book. I have family members at family activities I see on holidays. They always ask me, Bobby, ask for advice. And I say, listen, I've been talking to you for 10 years, dude, about advice. I'll tell you what, Chris, I came out with a book because I love you, man. Here's the book. It's free. I know you don't have 15 bucks. Here's the book. You give them the book. You run into them 90 days later at another family function, at a funeral. Bobby, hey, did you read my book, Chris? No, dude, I got to get to it. I was meaning to get to it. My own family members don't read it, but strangers have read it and have been impacted in a positive way. So you tell me how powerful good, bad, and ugly family members can be.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's. Some people don't want
And
to
the only
learn.
reason I get on family members can keep us kind of down and out.
Well, they can be a weight, and weights. You don't have to get rid of them. You just got to put them on the wall.
Got to love them from a distance, man.
You just got to put them down and then move on to the next thing. And I love the whole story. And we know how you exited the company, right? Which is really cool. $1 billion valuation, game changer, right? Learning, growing, coming up, creating legacy. Huge things, and now you're doing Ortsac, right? What are some other Ortsac is pure multifamily, if I'm right?
It's a family office that's comprised, and me and Sophie's been investing in multifamily for many years. We have about $750 million worth of apartments that give us every single month $500,000 in distributions. We have other forms of investments in Ortsac Family Office. So we manage our wealth, and we put them in private equity. We put them in real estate, structured lending, a little VC, little operating businesses here and there. And my mission is to do exactly what I was hoping that I was exposed to, but I was not. Being a mentor to many, letting another Bobby, another Sophie, dude, go this freaking way. Ignore them. Go this way. Look them in the eye and go this way. I want to do that for others because I know the power of grabbing someone by the shoulder and just doing this.
Yeah, it's amazing. Give someone the opportunity to learn, to grow, and you have the story of struggle, so it's easy to gravitate to that because I know some people say, well, they'll look at people, well, they don't know what it's like to have a hard time, or well, they don't know this and they don't know that. I think a lot of people, yeah, and we don't know who's who until you actually met them, really, but everyone has a story, right? And so right. To gravitate to your story as I did, it's easy for so many to gravitate, which I wish more did gravitate to what you're doing, and what you're doing in your trainings and your company and stuff like that. You're doing the coaching, the one-on-one coaching, the group coaching, which I'm part of one of them.
10 business owners, one-on-one, helping them, create some enterprise value in their model. And one thing I want to really remind your listeners, Chris, is so important, man. I know most will agree to it, but they don't realize how powerful it is if they practice it. Non-refundable minutes.
Love it.
Every time, every second, you never get them back. What is the ROI? How many minutes are you burning either on social media, scrolling, burning them, arguing with family members, or having a stupid argument, or being gossiping about wasted energy. You never get these minutes back. So if you're not good on managing and investing your time, you're not going to be good at nothing, because it's your time. Everyone they think they're going to wake up tomorrow. Do you realize how many millions of people did not wake up today that they would have guaranteed you and I are waking up tomorrow? But yet they've taken it for granted. They're doing nothing with their time to leave a legacy. Forget about the money. Leaving a legacy to your loved ones, those freaking kids, those grandchildren, to let them know this is the way you should practice life. This is how you get value out of life. Because guess what, Chris? You, I, and everyone that's listening here, you're 1 out of 8 billion people on the planet. And we don't realize how special that is. There's only one Chris. I would never, no one will have certain things that you have. Do you realize the power in that? Mm. And do you realize the power if you activate that, how much you can change your life and generations forward?
I love it. I was telling my son this Saturday, and I was telling him about non-refundable minutes, and I'm starting to use that quote, obviously by you, but how important it is just to manage our time. There's so much time wasted, whether they're streaming social media, they're working some endless job that's getting them nowhere. I was telling him, I said, sometimes you have to do something that you don't necessarily love to do to get the life that you want and desire for. I go, because you could hate something, and once it starts paying you positively, you instantly start loving it. I don't care.
That's right.
You can hate it, because everyone always says,
fall in love with the process.
Yeah, everyone says, well, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Well, I don't know if that's true, because I loved what I do, and I've worked forever in time, and I'm starting to hate it, right? But now I want to do something that necessarily I don't love to do, but I know it's going to pay me back, right? And I'm starting to love that process. And so the world, like you said, the world teaches everything backwards. And it just doesn't make sense, and if we talk more about non-refundable minutes or the PMA, it's like, these are simple steps, simple things we can do in our lives to live a better life, to live our best life. You know what I mean?
And you know what, Chris? Everyone will agree with you and I, but most cannot win with it. And the reason is because they get distracted and they go back to these patterns that they're used to that's preventing them getting onto this routine to get these outcomes. Anybody who's listening right now or viewing your podcast, you're looking at an individual. I'm Latino. I only got through the 9th grade. Matter of fact, I even failed at the 3rd grade in public system. No one fails at the 3rd grade in public system. That's an automatic pass. That shows you I'm not a real smart dude. I was a waiter, hit no lotto ticket, got no bank loan, got no investors. I sold the company for $1 billion. Before I sold it, for many, many years, I created a fortune in real estate. How, Bobby? How did you do it? I invested and managed my time wisely. That is all you need to focus on. If you're listening to me, you have no money, you don't know what's what, you understand, you're shaking your head. Yeah, I get this guy makes sense. This guy, he sounds like he's smart. No, I'm not. I'm only mindful of how I invest my time. I want to be around quality. I want to be around bona fide information that I can take in, execute on. I want to have relationships that are meaningful. I want to have value on my minute. How can you lose? You will create what I have created 10 times more if you attack it. I am telling most people what they already know that they don't want to do, because they understand they don't take time. They take it for granted. It's worth more than friggin' money. It's precious. It's you can't put a price tag on your time. How do you invest it? Do you invest it or do you spend it and burn it? That is the difference. That's how Bobby got here. That's why I'm financially free. More so, I'm personally free, because I figured how to invest my time.
It's so true. We waste our time. I mean, it's the little things lead to the big things. My wife, Felicity, always says, how you do anything is how you do everything. So when we're wasting time, it starts small. And next thing you know, you're wasting an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. And then 4 years, 10 years, 20 years.
Becomes a habit. And
And
it's like,
it's insanity, right? And then you get comfortable to it. Most get comfortable. So it's like, how do we challenge ourselves? How do we make ourselves uncomfortable? Do those things to get us to that next level, right?
yep,
Valuing our time because it is so precious, you know, and then while keeping that positive mental attitude and saying, hey, I can do this. If Bobby did it, if Chris is doing it, so can I. If they did it, if that guy did it, so can I. Well, what they do? They took a little bit more time and
yeah,
use it wisely, right? It's like
yeah,
those steps. It's those, and we understand. Like one thing I'm learning is as we get to that next stage, that next level, and you know, with success and entrepreneurship and business, whatever you call it, is it's just the beginning, and the grind starts all over again, and
absolutely.
it's harder than ever because you just conquered the last stage, but now you're at the bottom. It's a new enemy. It's new
It's
territory.
incredible, dude. Chris, we live in a country called United States of America. It allows you, dude, to start over as many times as you want. It allows you to create credit, burn your credit, start new credit, get divorced, get remarried, file bankruptcy, get out of bankruptcy. It is the most incredible country we live in that it's ridiculous. And what I want to do to your listeners and viewers, give you 2 action items how you can start moving your needle today. These are 2 things I'm going to give you, 2 data points. If you're willing to practice it and you're really hungry and you are just fed up of blah, 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 all your excuses, all your procrastinations, all these things, and you want to really start creating movement and more so building up new habits, let go of 3 people in your life. I'm only asking 3 people out of all the many friends and families, all your best friends and your brother from another mother, all that stuff. Let go of 3 of them. Take your time before you let them go. When I'm saying you don't have to call them, hey, I'm firing you out of my life, fade from them. 3 people that are just wearing you down, that could be a bad influence, have a different mindset. Just pick 3. And then what I want you to do is start waking up 4:45 in the morning. I don't want you to wake up, crack a bunch of eggs, eat it like Rocky, work out. I'm not asking you to do any of that. I'm only asking you to wake up at 4:45 a.m. just for the purpose to prove my point. When you're sitting there and you're not got nothing to do, you're going to say, okay, what's the point here? You're going to see how much time you have from 4:45 before everyone gets up at 7. You'll realize how much time you have in your day of how much you can do in your day to maximize your day. These 2 fundamentals, if you just started, you will see, and if you stay consistent with it, you will start seeing clarity in your life. You will start seeing, my gosh, I have a lot of time on my day and I wasn't doing nothing. How much can I fill these voids in? Man, amazing. Without him in my life, I seem like I'm not contaminated. I feel like I have a fighting chance here. I feel like smoking less weed. I'm feeling better. I'm not like talking about other people. Fire 3 people from your life, get by 4:45. If you're not willing to do those 2 things and you're 9 to 5 and you're broke like I was, you don't have a fighting chance. And the only reason you can't do this is because you are used to this routine like someone on heroin that can't get off. This is how powerful habits are.
Yeah.
People want to make fun of people on drugs. Guess what? What's the difference if you have excuses? It's hard to get off.
I agree.
The only one that's going to save you is you.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is so I got in a habit of overeating, right? And so a goal I made, I brought in this guy he came in from California. He's becoming a friend, and he was on the podcast, and he's a big fit guy, you know, young entrepreneur, very young entrepreneur. And I said, look, just being around him, I said, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to go from 4:30 to 4. I'm going to start a little work. We just moved in our new house. We were building it. We finally moved in.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm doing that. And just waking up earlier, like, even if I wasted an hour, I'm still an hour ahead, you know, but now I'm rolling into the office earlier. I just had a breakfast meeting yesterday. So I wouldn't have it would have been a lunch meeting. So now I can get a breakfast meeting in and then still have time. So like these extra 1, 2, 3 hours that's just more we could do in our day to get more things done to go towards the goals we want.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. And Chris, if imagine the ones that do have children, how are you not motivated to make a difference? How dare you raise them and teach them what was taught to you? Not to say that anything bad about your mom or dad, but there's better ways to practice life. And you know that. How dare you tell your kids, don't hang out with that one, don't do that, but yet you're doing it all?
Yeah. So, I love it. I love it. Another thing you talk about is stack and rack, right? Stack and rack. I'm doing that right now. And for for the people listening, the audience, explain what stack and rack mean. Break that down because some people just don't get that.
So stack and rack, man, I changed my relationship with money. I grew up seeing my parents and my family work for money. I never seen them create money. And there's two differences. So I started having a relationship many years back where I was not going to burn it. I was not going to flash dance it. I was not going to buy a piece of material shiny thing to impress Chris. I lost like that. Stack means I save my money. Rack means I invest my money. And I want to tell your viewers and listeners, if you do a Google and you just type in 1 penny compound a day in 1 month. Most people are shocked. 1 penny a day that's compounded each day for 30 lousy days. What do you think that equates to, Chris? Just a guess.
10 million.
5 million bucks in 30 days.
That's a lot.
When
of money.
I started realizing what I could turn $1 into $10, I started really saying, my gosh, let me save $10. I am so obsessed to make sure money is working for me. I don't work for money. That's how you become financially free. I wanted to get off the hamster wheel. Most of us are on this hamster wheel. We can never get off like my family, my mom and dad. Anytime you get off the wheel, bills are not paid, things crumble down. I fly free, man. I never, ever have to go to that hamster wheel unless I'm disrespectful and don't have a good relationship with money. I understand the power of money, how it can make and break you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Stack and rack. That's the way to go. Save and invest.
Rack.
Save and invest. That's, very simple. And it could be anything. It could be save $5 a week. I tell a lot of our employees, save anything, save $40 a week. And some of them, obviously it's a different level, right? We offer 401k and stuff, and I know it's a different level as you get up, that changes.
Yep.
But for, the standard employee, I said, save, invest, get into something, because if you're into nothing, you're into nothing.
I see so many young people making $1 million a year. I know some young people making $500,000 a month, and they're blowing all their money, and they have no idea. They truly don't understand the fundamentals of investing. They don't understand money. And a lot of people, including the ones that are not making that type of money, they're in the same boat. They're working for money instead of saying, how do I figure out to have a relationship with money and create money? I am sick of working for money, because you're not going to get wealthy. You're going to work for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about different types of investments? Since we're on this money talk, I was looking at T-bills, right? We were talking about that a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of that because there's money I don't need to touch. So what do you, for these young entrepreneurs, these young, what are some good avenues to invest in? Say they don't know, they're not sure. Obviously, we talk multifamily and business. What would you say for them, that first step of investment or something like that?
Number one, self-improvement. The best investment is yourself. If you're not willing to invest yourself, don't start investing elsewhere if you're not investing in yourself first. Think about it. You are the anchor in your life. If your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul is not right, nothing else is going to be right. If you don't understand about money, if you don't understand about these fundamentals, how are you going to be successful? So invest in yourself, number one. If you have a business, reinvest in that business. Real estate will come secondary. After you start stacking, you're going to rack into real estate. I believe in these three fundamentals: invest in yourself, 2, your business, 3, real estate.
Love it. That's kind of
These three things are my core values. That's where I choose to invest myself because I'm 1 out of 8 billion. I want to bring that better Bobby, that Michael Jordan Bobby, that mindset. 2, in my business, whatever that may be. 3, the excessive stack in real estate.
that's so crucial because and people think the investment in themselves has to be expensive. It can be inexpensive because there's a lot of resources out there. YouTube, all the podcasts, the
I'm glad you
ebooks.
said that, dude. I'm so glad. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So
Go
if you're
ahead.
listening, Bobby, if you're younger Bobby, younger Sophie, or even if you're a Bobby like me, man, 56 years old, and you're freaking broke. Well, Bobby, how do I invest myself? I got no money. Listen to me. You have time today. What are you doing with your time? Can you read a friggin' book, How to Improve Your Mindset? Can you go to a local free community conference about whatever? Can you do something other than how you do time today? That is investing. You're investing your time. It's worth more than money. So when I hear that and I hear, oh, I don't have money to buy a mentor, I get so disgusted. How dare you? But you have time to scroll on Instagram when you're waking up and seeing all that flash dance. Oh my God, look at that car, look at that Ferrari. Oh, look at that chick. What is that? There's no return on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to a young lady the other day. She came into my office and she's getting into marketing and stuff, and she wants to create logos for me and all that good stuff. Anyways, and she wasn't sure about what she wants. She's going to school, and I told her, I said, look, invest in yourself and go work for someone for free. I go, you're going to learn, go pick somebody, whoever's killing it. She was doing the math. We were doing the math with her college and her job. She was equal at 0. And I said, what is this going to pay you out? Or what are you going to gain from this? And I said, just go work underneath someone because you have right now, you do have more time than money. Right. So at some point you got to change that. But that she was already making 0. And I was like, you might as well keep making the 0 and go learn something extravagant. Like just learn something that's going to change your life. Because it's a free resource, I mean,
I love it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
a lot of people, I think, Chris, this is very important what I'm about to outline. If you're listening, do not compare my stage or Chris's stage to your stage right now. You remember we talked about stages in life? I, along with Chris, put in tremendous amount of time, effort, sacrifice as to where I'm at today and where Chris is at today. You're looking at this, but this was in the making for a number of years. And what you're trying to do is do magic. You're trying to, the stage you're at, and you want to be right here from doing no work, no sacrifice, not putting in the time. You're going to fail. You're setting yourself up to fail. Understand these dudes got there stage by stage. So the real question is, well, Bobby, how many stages have you gone through before you hit it? Many. So many that I lost count. But try not to cut through this process of life to compare the stage where I'm at now and you're at, and you're trying to jump to get here in 24 hours. You're going to fail. And when you fail, that's when you're going to quit, because you're going to say it's impossible, which you're right. It's impossible because you've got to go through these stages.
Yeah. It's no different than us when we're babies learning how to walk. We crawl, we walk, we run. It's the same thing. There's a process to everything.
Dude, you can put me in China. I'm just China for 2 years. I'm going to learn the language. Over 24 lousy months, 2 Christmases, I can speak the language. 2 Christmases, you can understand how money works. You can be in business for yourself. Your life can change if you just put in the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, Bobby, as we start to close, a question I want to ask all of our guests and, yourself, even though we talked about a lot of this, what would be that we went through a lot of different key principles on, how to maintain a positive mental attitude and just growth. What would be that one thing you would tell that young entrepreneur or leader, because entrepreneurs are not necessarily young in age, because we got older people, younger people, right? Then we got that leader that wants that next level or whatever. What would be that one piece of advice that you can leave them with that, you know, they can just take that and implement it in their life.
So you're young, you want to be in business for yourself. I agree 1000%. However, get a job, get a sales job, surround yourself with quality. That business, this later stage will come. Wherever you're at, you and I know the stage. Don't lie to yourself. It's okay, man. You're not where you want to be, and that's totally okay. Disconnect from a lot of personalities, a lot of people, so you have time to yourself to realize I am not creating nothing. I am stuck as stuck can be. You're now starting to see some clarity of some people you don't want in your life because they're consuming your time. Get into sales, get into selling money. A lot of people ask me, Bobby, what industry? I have no money. What industry I should go into? Finance, sell money. That's what I did. Everybody needs money. You should be able to make $250,000 easily being a money broker. But the reason that you can't see it or do it is because you're consumed with a lot of distractions that are just going to hold you down for the rest of your life unless you start over. Meaning in the corporate world, Bobby, there's something called sub in, sub out. In order to sub things into your life, you have to actually sub things out of your life because you don't have any capacity or you'll be more distracted. Sub out things so you can make room for new things to come in your life. The same information you know are pretty good. All the friends you're hanging around with, all the family members, you know the drill. They're as broke as you are and as confused as you are. So why are you hanging out with them? Because that's all you're going to get is more confusion. Why don't you sub them out for a moment in time so you allow some other people of different information to come in your life? The reason they're not coming in your life, you're so consumed with all these other people, you can't see the people right in front of you that should be in your life.
There it is. I love it. Sub people out, get rid of 3 people.
Instead of Instagram, a lot of young people are on Instagram. You and I know that, Chris. Instead of having all these followers, all these flash dance, why don't you start following people that are truly financially free, given the basic fundamentals, consuming your mindset versus being distracted on this hot chick or look at all those people breaking the bottles or look at this rapper. You can do all that for another time. Right now, do you really want to become successful? If so, you better start listening to the successful people.
I love it. I love it. Well, Bobby, thank you for your time, man. It's been an honor and a pleasure. PMA all day. I'm part of the group.
Thank you, brother.
I love you guys. Love what you're doing. And it's just a blessing and an honor. And enjoy your week, brother. Bye.
Man, much love, Chris. Thank you, dude.
Bye.